Heather Williams, and I've been doing art for, I'd say, wow, maybe at least 20 years now, if not more, and as well as art therapy. Can I say how I got into it?
Yeah, we'll come to the issue, and then art therapy, which is good. So where were you born, and how did you get involved into arts?
Oh, I was actually born in the U.S. Virgin Islands of St. Croix, where my parents met, and they came here when I was very young. So I was raised in Brooklyn, and yeah, I was raised in Brooklyn, went to school in Brooklyn, knew I wanted to be an artist since I was like 4 years old, but my parents encouraged me to find something where I can get a real job, and so I kind of strayed away from it for quite some time. Until I got to college, then I just started taking some art classes and realized it was like an awakening for me that I still love to create art. Yeah.
Thank you. And Heather, you're not only a painter, you also do like sculpture. Can you tell us a little bit about like your sculptures?
Yeah. My sculptures, I find, because most of my paintings now I'm doing a lot of abstract work, the sculpting is where I feel like I put all of the details of my work into. I started out doing sculpting just for fun. I didn't even really take it seriously until, I have to say that I had most of my stuff down in the basement until like Ebu actually came and discovered my work and then, invited me to take the work out of my house, and the response was really, really went well. And I, whenever I get a chance, I continue to get my hands in the clay, which I really love the process.
But you don't work. I mean, most of your work is really big because some of the sculptures I've seen are really heavy and big. How do you happen to be working on such large scale sculptures?
It's pretty much how I was trained to do it from live. I work from live models. So the course that I originally was taking, we always work from live models, and because it's clay, the material itself is heavy. So once you fire it, it just, unless you go and get it cast, which I haven't had any of my clay sculptures casted, it really is a heavy material to work with, but I still, love it very much. Yeah, I don't let that part stop me.
Yeah, because I was like really impressed the first time I saw your sculptures and they were very dusty. I was like, no, you got to take them out. These deserve to be like in a gallery,
Yeah, to me it was just something fun to do. I just, didn't take it as seriously, I guess. But then the more I started to work with the material and even learned that I can create pieces without even having a model, it really just, the material just really speaks to me to be able to work with my hands in that way. I have to attribute that, I think, to my dad, from watching him make things from scratch, because he is a construction worker, and so he always knew how to just build things from scratch, and I mean really professional looking stuff around the house, and I think that really stayed with me. So,
and you were recently like in a show in which you have two very strong pieces. You kind of doing the mixed media, combining sculpture and canvas. How do you happen to do that? How do you succeed in doing that?
That actually happened by mistake. I had these 4 sculptures that were fired, and then they broke. They broke in the process of firing, and I didn't see them. My professor sent me a message saying that the pieces broke, unfortunately. But then when I finally got my hands on them, I said to myself, it's still art. Like, whatever happens to it, you can still create something out of it. It's not a loss or not even a mistake. You can take the piece and work with it. So I decided to take the pieces that I have and put it on canvas, and then just make the piece part of the canvas. So I painted it in such a way that it just seems to be like one piece, making the materials work together as one. So yeah, it's kind of like creating a relief sculpture where you're working from clay, but all the images are built on top of it. In this case, I use canvas to build my piece on top of, pieces that were broken. And I kind of feel like it's a metaphor somehow that, even though something can break and fall apart, you can still find a way to make it work. It's all in the way that you see it, your attitude towards the work, because I could have looked at it as a failure, but really, my attitude was more like, I'm going to make something out of this and create something that I think is beautiful and meaningful.
Yeah, artists don't usually throw away anything. Whichever thing they have their hand on kind of inspire them to create something else.
No, that's the thing. It's great. We don't throw away anything, but then, when you live in an apartment and you don't throw away anything, sometimes that could be, could be a little bit problematic for the other people in the house. But yeah, I don't. I'm starting to find other things to incorporate in my art, like just found objects. So I think that's going to be a little more. You're going to see more of that in my paintings as well.
Yeah, and you also like an oil painter. I saw your work last night in a gallery, in Hoboken, gallery, and you did a portrait of yourself, which is like a very big and interesting piece. Can you tell us about like your paintings now, your oil work?
Sure. For this particular show that I'm doing at Isira Gallery, I have a combination of abstract pieces as well as figurative pieces. So I did an image of myself playing on the electric bass, which is an instrument that I actually recently started learning in real life. And I had a picture of myself, because that's part of what I do. I take pictures of things and people out in the environment with the thought that in the future I might create some painting out of it or something. So this was one of those pieces, and it's interesting to listen to what people think when they see that piece. Right away they know it's me, and then the other thing is they want to know what that expression is. Is it anger? Is it sadness? Or whatever it is. And I wasn't necessarily thinking, okay, I'm going to make the face look angry, but what I do want is for people to look at any piece of work that I have and to try to look further and question what it is that they are seeing. I like the fact that the work it has a way of communicating something to people that brings people together for conversation or whatever the piece is. So yeah, I saw that image and I decided it was something that I wanted to reproduce. And portraits are not really something that I tend to do. For me, I do like to challenge myself to do different types of work. So that was one of those challenges.
Yeah, it's a really strong piece. And really expresses the way you close your eyes, which I really like. And not only that, you also do abstract, and your abstract are really, really strong and really positive. And I like the earthy colors you use. What inspired you to do this abstract work?
The abstract work, I really aspire to be free in the way that I create my work, and to be able to just let the images come on their own. So when I'm doing abstract work, I try not to force it or try to make it into something specific or that looks specific, because it never works. It never works. It has to be more of an organic process. I mean, what I'm noticing lately is the more that I paint and stop and look at it, then I start to see other images come out. It's usually some type of image of a person or a face or something, and to me it's almost like a spirit that has a voice that's coming out on the canvas, and I can, work with that and try to bring that out, whatever message it is. And it's quite an interesting process of trying not to force it into something, but to be free enough to allow the colors, the material, whatever it is, to work together and create some kind of balance.
Yeah, because when I look at your abstract work, I kind of see like flashlight or like moving shadow.
Mm.
Yeah, because it's really interesting, because it's not only like about forms and volumes, but it's kind of like movements.
Yes. Yeah. It's really important. Texture is important to me. Movement, that the piece doesn't just look, static. There should be some kind of movement, some balance within the piece. Like these are the elements that I'm trying to bring out when I'm doing abstract work. It's really interesting also because very often, like any time I do an abstract piece, there's a point where I stop and I turn the piece around to look at it from every angle, and I always find something different from what I expected the piece to be. I have a piece called Cocoon, where if you look at it, it looks like there's a female image in it, but originally when I started painting that, it was like upside down, and I was just painting, this looks good, but then when I turned it around and saw that form coming out, then I said, okay, this is the way it's supposed to be, and now I can work with what that form is that's coming out. I mean, it sounds kind of abstract even just talking about it. You have to see it. You have to see it in Eagle. I don't know if I can say what my website is.
Yeah, so, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
If people want to take a look at that piece and the sculptures, they can go to artbyheather.wix.com/artist to take a closer look at some of my pieces. And let me just say that one more time. It's art, ArtbyHeather.wix.com/artist. ArtBIST.
They can also find you on Facebook.
Yes, at Art by Heather. You can find me on Facebook, which is where I post the things that I'm doing and occasionally what I'm working on and so on. So yeah, so that's Art by Heather. If you want to check out my Facebook page, would be great. Yes.
And you were talking about like using objects in your art, and as I collect like African American arts and art in general, I have two of your pieces that are painted in blue and kind of masked and put like in box glasses. Do you remember these pieces?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, those masks that I made. Yeah, I was working with plaster at that time, and I started getting into making masks out of I made a mask of my own face at one point, and then I decided to just keep building and making masks. And in fact, that was part of also working with kids, doing art therapy with kids.
Yeah.
Mask making was a large part of what I was doing with children. So I've made a few of them. There's not that many out there in the world, Ibu. So you have two of maybe like 5 that I've framed or something. And then some of them I had more, but then when we had Sandy, they were damaged in the flood. So I lost some pieces, but it's okay. I can make more at a future date. But yeah, I was creating masks using first you have to build. I built up the face or figure and then used plaster and then painted using acrylic on top of those.
Yeah, that's those pieces are really great. I every day see them.
I forgot about those. Yeah,
it is really good. I have them in my living room. And you talk about Sandy. I know when Sandy, the Hurricane Sandy was really a disaster in New Jersey. I lost a lot of pieces in the hurricane because I have some pieces in the gallery, and you also lost a lot of pieces in that hurricane.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you make some art and like a disaster like a hurricane come and destroy all those pieces? What kind of memories do you have of that?
It's hard because I think some things, like so many things, were lost in the basement that you don't even remember until there's something you need to do or thought crosses your mind and it's like, oh my goodness, I don't have that piece anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I did lose like any drawings that I had down there definitely were a wash. I had a couple of masks and everything. But there was this one piece done by another artist who I love. His name is Robert Reed. When I was pregnant, he came over and did a portrait of me. And he did it in like charcoal, and I had it, nicely rolled up in the basement. And that is like a one-of-a-kind piece because, first of all, it was like my first pregnancy, and then an artist friend of mine came over and did that piece for me, and that's like, you can't buy that again. You can't, it's just a loss.
Yeah.
So the way I deal with it is to tell myself, well, I just made room to create more.
Yeah.
It has to be that way because it's gone. So now I just, I have room to create more. And it's like I said before, it's not what happened to you or what happened to the art. It is how you deal with the situation, what your attitude is, and how you choose to move on from it. So for me, the best thing is to just say, okay, take a deep breath, take a deep breath, and you just have to move on and say, okay, now we can make room again for some new pieces.
Yeah, it was hard.
Can do.
Yeah, it was a real disaster. I lost over 20-something pieces. I even didn't try to put them. I just threw them away. I was like, no, I don't want to see them again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's how some of my pieces went too. I didn't look at every single piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone, and it's from you, so it's like your baby.
Yeah.
You're losing one of your creations, one of your children. It's really. I feel that way sometimes, even when I sell a piece of work.
Yeah.
Even when I sell a piece of work, sometimes I'm like, wow, I let go of that piece. Oh my goodness. Okay, because it's more than the money. It's not just about the money. Money's good, yes.
Yeah.
But when you really create something with your hands and you love that piece, and then you sell it to someone else for money, then it's like, wow, I've given away pieces and felt more like, okay, comfortable with that. I know it sounds probably going to sound strange to a lot of people, but that's me as an artist thing.
Yeah, that's why I usually say there's no price for art, but just compensation, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you selling your time, something like the time from you, somebody else, you know, and the piece is gone. And I had, and you know, I see it like this. It's just like selling a piece of artwork. It's just like you have a daughter, and somebody comes and gives you the dowry and get married with your daughter. Takes it away. Your daughter is still your daughter, you know?
Right. It's true. Remember when I did the first show I did when I took my sculptures out, and I had a relief sculpture of a woman playing a violin, and that was like the first piece that sold, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Because I didn't expect that to happen. First of all, you know, like I said, it was the first time I was exhibiting my sculptures, and then to see that piece go so fast was like, wow. And I don't have any other pieces like that yet. I could make some different things, but still was like, wow. Okay, maybe I should have put a higher price on that.
Yeah, I remember that piece. It was in a show I curated and. Gallery 1200.
In Hoboken.
Yeah, and that piece was the first one to be sold.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we create things which we think cannot sell, you know?
Yeah.
But once we take them out, you see how people like them and how people want to collect them, which is like a very interesting thing. Is that like a lack of trust in what you're doing, or you just don't want to sell?
Maybe a little bit of both. maybe a little bit of both, because, you know, sometimes I might create a piece that to me is just okay. It's all right. It's nice. I'll put it out there, but I don't have the expectation that, you know, oh, they're gonna love this or whatever, and then boom, it's gone. That's happened a few times. Or sometimes I might create something that I feel lukewarm about, maybe not so excited about it, but it's done and I'm ready to put it out there. And then that piece is the first one that goes. But I think that's because, like, every piece has a message in it. Every piece has something in it for someone. You know, it speaks to different people in different ways. And you never know how it's going to speak to someone. So, and as I get older and paint and sculpt more, I continue to learn to trust that process over and over again, because it's a process for me. It is. It's still a process.
But artists never get old. They are as old as the moon and as young as the sun.
Okay.
Artists never get old. As old as the sun, as the moon, and as young as the sun.
I'll have to remember that.
Yeah, we rejuvenate any time we wake up in the morning. That's why we have the childish mentality or whatever it is to create more stuff.
Okay. I'll take it.
Yeah. Heather, in addition to your paintings and your sculpture and all those things, you are an art therapist. You do art therapy. What is art therapy?
Okay, art therapy it's a type of therapy, as it says, but it's not just verbal therapy. You don't go into a therapist's office and just sit down and talk. It's not like just talk therapy. The process of using art in therapy, it helps people to decrease their level of anxiety, for one. Especially when you're working with children, it's hard to just go in there sometimes just ask them direct questions about what's bothering them or what happened to them. And sometimes those kind of questions might make them feel even worse. So you give them some clay, or you give the person, could be a musical instrument or drum or something, or a piece of paper and some materials to work, and let them create whatever they want. while they are working, this is when the conversation begins. And even if the conversation doesn't begin the first time, you give a child or person a space to create with no pressure. Over time, you begin to develop trust. And this is how the process of using art can do that. Kids especially, I mean, I'm a primary teacher as well. I have kids who will sit and draw for hours at a time. Even as an artist, I can't even believe how long they can just sit and just draw and cut and paste all day if you let them do just that. So for them, it's a natural process. For most kids, it's just a natural process to go in and create things. So you're using part of that natural process to help them develop a relationship with you, and then begin to talk or draw about whatever the issue is, and so on. So my work with children as an art therapist was with the domestic violence population. So I would do individual art therapy, and I was doing group art therapy as well. So, and both are different. In group art therapy is a little more structured. You might have a specific art project to do that's based on a certain theme. For example, your theme might be about safety. Draw a safe place for yourself. And then as a group, we go around and we talk about it. So, and then an individual, we take a little more time to develop a relationship first. And I use different modalities in art therapy. So I even have sand trays. So it's not just drawing or painting. It's really creative art therapy would be more of the full title of it. It's something that I really enjoy doing because it's a profession where I feel like I can make a real difference in someone's life through art.
Yeah. What kind of role can art therapy play in domestic violence?
In domestic violence?
Yeah. What kind of role can it play? Yeah.
When you're dealing with domestic violence, you're dealing with trauma. People who have been traumatized, kids who have been traumatized. Just to narrow down the example. So either they have seen the violence or they've heard it. And when someone is affected by trauma, they have they develop certain responses that might be inappropriate in the regular environment. Like they hear a loud noise and they jump for no reason, or they're extra frightened, or they might be extremely withdrawn or something like that. So it depends on what the situation is. If I have a child who has decided just to be silent and not speak because that's how they're dealing with the situation, then now I'm creating a safe place for that person to be who they are. I don't force them to speak. I just let them play for a little while. And then it's amazing what happens, because after a while they come in and then they start, talking a little bit more or playing out the things that they've witnessed. And they know that they're not going to get in trouble. I'm not going to judge them for whatever happened. And I make, at the beginning of the sessions, we talk about confidentiality. Whatever we talk about or whatever we do here stays between us. The only time I have to say anything to your parent is if someone has really harmed you or is harming you, like, if there's a safety issue. So I establish that up front. Okay. So part of it is giving them a safe space to deal with whatever feelings they have. But also in a group, for example, we're developing social skills as well, coping skills, how to cope with the feelings they're dealing with, how to deal, in social environments, this kind of stuff, how to talk to their parents about what's going on. Okay, so it's multi-level. I hope that answers your question.
Because when I heard like group art therapy, I thought about like rituals as we do in Africa. For instance, we have a lot of rituals like the nip ceremony, which consists of organizing like drumming parties, singing songs, and making like the sick people dance. You know, to go back and join the community, because there, when you have like mental problems, is like the community will come together and they have those rituals. You're not going to be singled out or put like in a psychiatric hospital, but it's more about like bringing you back to the community.
Oh,
yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, because
that totally makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Because those rituals that we have in Africa, it's just like art therapy, but here it's more functional, but there it's more like verbal. It's like singing, dancing, drumming, you know? Yeah, I'm just kind of drawing like a parallel between those kind of things, you know, because I also work with, in the past I did some work with people with disabilities, mental retardation, behavior problems. And then what I was doing is that I would put them in a room, and that room has fences, but not walls. I would put like all the pencils, the drawing materials on the floor, and I'll be playing drums and ask them to draw their feelings and what they feel.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And then people were telling me, "You're doing art therapy." I was like, "No, that's not art therapy. This is art."
No, you do. They're right.
Yeah, because it was back in 2001, so I wasn't like really, I didn't know a lot about art therapy, you know?
Right.
And now that you're mentioning all these things, I can see the connection.
And even the idea of fences instead of walls, art therapy is a way to break down some of these walls. When I first came out of grad school, I worked with a substance abuse and alcohol and substance abuse population, and I was nervous because those people were older than me, and they knew way more about life than I did. I mean, I had this one woman who was like, "What do you know about this? You look like a wine sipper," you know? So I had to prove myself, but I didn't. I just did art with them. And in fact, this is part of the mask making. We did a lot of like mask making projects with them. And the resistance that I had to overcome was like, oh, come on, you know. But once they got their hands on the material, it was amazing, you know. And then when I decided to leave, I didn't realize how much of an impact I had until, because I saw other people come and go, but they threw a party for me when it was time to leave, and I'll never forget that, because that really shows how the art really, like I said, it really helped to bring those walls down.
Yeah, I mean, the walls are
some of the people there. So yeah, that's amazing what you're talking about, drumming and then just doing art with it. That's art therapy, boo.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, walls, if you're talking about walls, and it's just like you are confined between the four walls, and having a fence is like giving them, like, freedom, that their voice to be heard. Because domestic violence is, like, really, really bad. And it can result in, like, having, like, beats, very sensitive attitudes, because I worked with kids that were, like, really hypersensitive in noise and everything.
Yeah, that's part of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's part of it, and those you should have like a way to deal with them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, it's really. I mean, it's something that should be developed more in developing countries like in Africa, having this kind of like art therapy. I'm sure. There are some artists working on that, but it's something that should be really encouraged, you know.
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, it's not just, you know, drawing and painting, the drumming, and to me, anything creative that helps people to communicate and feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because when you're dealing with art therapy, when you're dealing with domestic violence, the first thing is to have clients feel safe. You know, so and another thing is that they need to have proper limits and boundaries. So, like, even that fence, even though you can still, it's not a wall, but it's still a way of creating a safety net, because the people need to feel held in some kind of way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You probably didn't even realize you were doing that. You know, but some people need that limit so that they feel safe within that limit, but there's still a little bit of freedom because it's not a wall blocking them in. So that's really great, and yeah, I do hope that they think more and incorporate more art therapy services across the world, really. But yeah, that's great work to be doing.
Yeah,
I didn't know that you did that.
No, I really, you know that you're contributing to society, to community when you work with those people, because once you have one session, two sessions, there's a twist. They will tell you something that they would never tell to their parent or to a friend.
Yep.
You kind of become like a part of their life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is part of the multi-dimensional functions of art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, do you, like, if you are doing art therapy with those people and they create artwork, whatever they create, have you ever, like, had a show with them, help them to show their work to other people, or it is something personal?
I haven't done that. It depends on where you're working and what the facility is, because, for example, if you're doing art therapy at a certain place, the work might be considered something that's private to them. Okay? However, you can, if you let the clients know, okay, we're going to do a show, if you let them know, again, with respect to their privacy, because when you're doing art therapy, the work is supposed to be regarded as part of that person's self. And so how you treat that work needs to be important. That's important. So, but yes, you can certainly do a show like that, but following the guidelines of respect for the client and their work. But I've seen it done. I haven't done it myself. Mm-hmm. And maybe, if I remember correctly, I might have even given some pieces to a show or something, because sometimes people ask if you have artwork for a children's show or something like that. But it is definitely done. It's definitely done where clients do exhibit their work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I missed it. Because right now I'm doing work with children at a preschool, so I do miss some of the work that I was doing as an art therapist. I think next time around I would go back to doing art therapy again.
Yeah,
I see that's a really important work.
Yeah, it's good, because I sometimes volunteer. We did some workshop at the Hoboken Homeless Shelter, which was really, really great, because I remember we did 12 sessions, and at the end of the session, one of the homeless guys would say, "I feel better now."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah. She just got up and "I feel better now." And I was like, this is the title of the show. What we did was, we had a show for them at the Hoboken Public Library. Mm-hmm. And the act they did was so strong that some of them sold their pieces.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like, I feel better now. That was the title of the show.
Oh, wow. Wow. And could you imagine, how that helps to raise their self-esteem? to see their work up and that people are interested enough in it to buy.
Yeah.
Okay, so it really it works on many different levels.
Yeah, this once again shows that art is not only about beauty, it's not only about selling, it's not only about like attracting people, but it's more than that. It's beyond than that. It has like other function that can make people's lives better.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because, as art therapists, we also talk about, that there's art therapy where the person is like in therapy, and then you can use art as therapy in many different situations. Even in school, where I work, we have kids who are have ADHD or hyperactive, and these are the kids. And if they love to create things with their hands, I have a craft table in my classroom right now. It's like, okay, what do you need here? And they will sit down and in a calm manner and create whatever they want. So I'm not doing therapy in the classroom, but at the same time, it's therapeutic to be doing the art. And another thing I find amazing is that you can assess and see a child's ability to follow steps, check their fine motor skills. There's like so many things you could look at just by using art with kids. So it goes way beyond probably what I even realized. And I feel really fortunate to be a part of that process. And the creativity of those people who are affected by domestic violence is something else, because the way they express themselves on the canvas or whichever material is reflects like what they have gone through. Yes. Even when they don't realize it, I remember I was working at a shelter in New York some years ago, and there were these brothers that would fight, and they would send me up there to talk to them, because I had already created a relationship with them through art. And for me, it was just like, hey, you want to come downstairs for a few minutes to the art room and do something? And then I would take the clay out, and they squeeze and play with it and so on. And before you know it, they were in a different place where they could talk instead of fight, So that, to me, like these kinds of experience, I never will forget, because I'm not I'm a more of a quiet, reserved type of person, but the art seems to be able to speak for itself in a way, for myself and for clients or whoever it is in the process.
Yeah. And then, and I remember having these workshops, and before the painting, we gave children like pencils and papers, and I asked them, like, if anger was a person and you have to write a letter to anger, what would you say? Because I know it was like an underprivileged or underserved community, and some of them like will face like domestic violence. They were in anger in the way they express and everything. But what kids were writing about anger, the letter, it was really amazing. They were expressing themselves in a very mature way.
Wow.
I remember the kids were like, anger, stay away with me, you broke my family.
Oh, wow.
I asked them to write a letter to anger. Like, anger is a person to write a letter to anger. But I was really saddened by what they were with.
Yeah.
They were like writing what was going on in their own families.
Wow.
It once again can help children to couple with like a lot of things that are going on socially in their communities.
Yeah.
And this should be put everywhere in the project, in the homeless shelters, And wherever there are kids that are really violent, this can help, you know?
Yeah. You know, I was at the other day for the school I work with. I think we were doing one of our like open houses or something like that. And this woman came up to me and was saying, was it at a school? Honestly, I don't remember. I just remember that the woman knew that I was an art therapist. Oh, I know where it was. It was at the last exhibit we did at the courthouse. And when the woman realized that I was an art therapist, she said to me that she started talking about her son and how he can use art therapy, and he's going to public school right now. And I said, but don't they have art therapy in all the public schools? She said they took it away. And so to me, this is tragic. This is tragic. There is no reason why, especially in schools where people are already underserved, they should have, and they should be able to fund an art therapist in their school. I see this as like, you know, essential. That shouldn't happen anywhere. That shouldn't happen anywhere. But it's like one of the first things they want to pull out, the creative things, the music, the art. Oh, you know, but these things are so important for my students who are like with the best handwriting are the ones who spend their 3-year-old years up to 3 coloring, drawing every day. Those are the ones when it's time to start writing that it takes them a shorter period of time to get it, you know, and to have good handwriting. So this is all connected. It's not something that should be just cut out.
No, not at all. I mean, they should just even do more. Let the art class in the schools and put them in the public library at the same time. Because a lot of kids have after-school programs in the libraries over here in Jersey City. You know, that can help them a lot. Because we do that in the communities, because parents are stressed, they don't have time for their children. Yeah. And it's not safe to let the children on the street. You know, somebody somewhere should take great care of those kids to protect them.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I know what it is to be a stressed parent. You know, you come home from work and it's you have to give attention to your kids too, and you're tired and you have all these other things to do. You know, that still needs to be done. They need to have outlets, and children, I guess. You know, so it's true. It's that, you know, I think what we're saying is that mental health is really important here, because when you talk about art therapy, you're talking about mental health. You know, there's no reason why that should be taken out of any type of school. Even the social workers they're overbooked. They can only handle but so much. You know, so like I said, I think if that's true that they took the art therapy out of that school, that's pretty sad.
Yeah, the money that's terrible thing to destroy. They should really use those things in school, and art therapists do a great job for the community. Hi, hello, Mr. Sen.
Yeah, Brozundoy, what's up?
We are coming to the end of the show. It's almost an hour, and maybe you can have a question. If you have a question with Heather, and then we're gonna close up.
Yeah, people been listening to the artists, you know, very carefully, because they did not know about this kind of art, which is the art therapy. You know, a lot of people, that's new to a lot of people, very new to our listeners. So we just wanted to know her upcoming events so people can go discover her job, her work, you know, and understand, you know, much more what she's doing right now, because the art therapy is new to a lot of us, you know, so we want to see her work. So just if you can tell us her upcoming events, it would be great.
Yeah, Heather, give us once again your website, your Facebook, wherever people can get in touch with you. And then if you have any events coming up, just let us know.
Okay, so the website is artbyheather.wix, that's WIX.com, /artist. Okay?
Yeah.
And the Facebook page is just Art by Heather.
Okay, we're inviting members of the African communities to go and visit her website or the Facebook and get in touch with her or with us if you want to have an therapist or talk to Heather.
Yeah.
Okay.
That should be great.
Yeah. Okay, Heather, last words. So where's your next show? So what are you up to?
Oh, boy, my next show. Right now, I am at Isira Gallery, which is in Hoboken, New Jersey. We're planning to extend the show, and we're going to bring the artists who are there now, we're going to just bring new pieces of work to add to the show that's there. And that should be up for another month. The opening is going to be, I believe, on March 11th. And the gallery stays open very late. So we start around 6 until the wee hours of the morning. And it's always a fun experience because there's live music, there's drumming. I was there just this past Friday, and I was able to get a chance to get on the djembe myself and dancing. So we had quite a good time. So it's more than the exhibit. It's like a really fun time, a good community to be involved in.
Yeah, Isira Gallery is owned by the Senegalese guy called Isaso. It's 300 Observer Highway in Hoboken. It's just like 10 minutes from New York.
Yeah,
Yep.
I